Hi everybody, Ron Placone here, doing another summary of this morning's Indie Bohemians morning show. And of course, address the elephant in the room first and foremost. We had to follow up on the Supreme Court's decision. Of course, yesterday when we got off the air, it was right before the Hobby Lobby decision was announced. And then I went on YouTube yesterday to talk about the decision shortly after it happened. And I got some feedback from you guys here on YouTube as well as at the radio show. Some people agreed with my take, some people didn't. And, that's good. I think it'd be a very boring world if we all agreed on everything. But kind of going back to all this, I personally just don't buy the whole religious liberty argument in regards to Hobby Lobby. And it gets back to just the basic premise. A corporation, whether it's closely held or not, the whole purpose of the corporation is to have a separate legal entity, separate from the individuals associated with it. Yes, it's people running it, sure, but it's supposed to be just kind of its own separate entity. And this separate entity does not have a religion because it's not a person. So I just can't I just can't get on board with that argument. People that are saying, well, it infringed upon the religious liberty of the owners of Hobby Lobby. Well, when were they not able to practice their personal religion as people in this situation? I don't believe that this happened, and I understand it's not like it's more just the principle that now the Supreme Court ruled that closely held corporations can kind of just infringe their religious beliefs of the people running them on whoever their employees are. And that's kind of the issue here. It's more the principle. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, well, a lot of these contraceptives, they're not that expensive, and this and that, and people can get them, and it's not that big of a thing, and it's not like they're blocking access. People are free to spend their own money. I get that, but it's more the principle of this is something that was covered before. Now it's not covered anymore, and all of a sudden this is some kind of outrage because Plan B is involved, and I think that there's a bit of hostility towards the Affordable Care Act that's going on here. I think there's a lot of issues at play, and I think a lot of this is kind of just politics as usual, but this Supreme Court ruling really just gave a pat on the back to the corporate elite and told everyone else, oh well, tough. So, and then of course other recent rulings that you don't have to have a 35-foot buffer zone from abortion clinics. They're saying that that's a free speech issue. And then, of course, the ruling against unions in Illinois, where they're saying that people that are only considered partial state employees, they don't have to pay their union dues because it's just a partial thing, kind of just making that also a free speech issue. That it was kind of labeled as such too, kind of forgetting the whole notion of what a union is attempting to accomplish, and that's trying to look out for employees. So there's been a very kind of heavy sort of row of of kind of just not for the people rulings by the Supreme Court. So it's been an interesting trend. And but in terms of the Hobby Lobby thing, which is the biggest elephant in the room in terms of recent Supreme Court rulings, I guess it just comes down to the way you want to look at it. And to me, a corporation is not a person. A corporation does not have religious beliefs, and this is the very principle of it. It doesn't matter if it's all forms of birth control or just certain types, and it's more the principle of this nature where it's like, well, this is a corporation, this is a separate entity that was set up for being such. And to say, oh, well, but the people running it have religious views, so that kind of bleeds into this. I mean, that's sort of just, in a lot of ways, that's kind of wanting to have your cake and eat it too. And just because you're closely held, I don't think it makes any sense for you to be able to do that. But the Supreme Court believes it does. And I think that ruling is kind of, and again, Also, I think it seems that if you look at a lot of the outcry on the blogosphere and so forth, I think a lot of people don't really share that sentiment, and that sentiment was more shared by the corporate few and not necessarily the majority of people, if I had to take a guess. But such as such, we'll continue to cover it, continue to watch it unfold. I think a pretty interesting floodgate has been opened, and I'm a little nervous about what's going to happen next. But we talked about some other stuff. Of course, there's other stuff going on, and some more kind of positive things. A lot of Boy Scouts have been showing up at a lot of Pride events. They showed up at an event in Seattle, and I believe in New York City as well. And of course, a little while back, a couple years ago, the Boy Scouts made news because they said they did not want gay people involved with the organization. Then they changed their mind about that, and they kind of, changed their mind and moved forward on that. They said that it's okay, and they're trying to be more pro-gay. So I think it's cool that they made an appearance at this, and that some members of that organization, because there's still people within that organization that presumably don't want gay people involved. So I think it's great that the people that want to move forward, they're making their presence known, and they're saying, hey, we care about gay rights, and we care about the Boy Scouts, and here we are. We're making our presence known. We're making appearances here. I think it's very symbolic and definitely a sign of progress, and I salute those involved. I think that's a good thing. And then, of course, Community got its 6th season. I personally stopped following Community after the 1st season, not intentionally. I just sort of dropped the ball on it, just kind of stopped following it. I really liked Chevy Chase's character, which is not hard for me to admit, but it's a little weird to bring up because I know he's not very well liked. They always publish things about how he can be very difficult to work with, and that even goes back to the SNL days, and him and Bill Murray didn't get along and all this other stuff. And I heard on Community that was no different, and people had a very, very difficult time working with him. I've just, you always see those articles where apparently he's just a mean dude. And I don't know, I never met the guy and never got to work with him, maybe someday, but that was something else going on. And what's interesting about the whole Community thing is that they're going to be on Yahoo. Yahoo is streaming more and more programs, and it's sort of weird to talk about the Yahoo thing on YouTube right now. On the radio, it wasn't that big of a deal, but right now, for this recap here, it's a little weird to talk about the whole Yahoo thing because, of course, in the blogosphere, they've been saying that Yahoo may be a future competitor for YouTube, that Yahoo's going to be trying to do what YouTube's doing and try to get content creators from YouTube to Yahoo and to track people away from YouTube to Yahoo specifically. Whether that's going to happen or not, I have no clue. I really don't. I pay attention to it. I kind of read what's out there, and as a content creator myself, I just kind of wait and see what's going to happen, and in the meantime, just kind of keep doing what I do, which is create content. So that's weird to talk about here on YouTube, but we did want to bring up Community got their 6th season, and the big goal was 6 seasons in a movie, according to what I've heard from the fan base and so forth. So they're going to get that 6th season. Will they get a movie? And if they do get a movie, will Chevy Chase be involved? I don't know. I'd be curious to know about that. But those were some of the topics that we talked about on the Indie Bohemians morning show. Of course, we followed up on the obvious, the Supreme Court decisions. And then, of course, we got a little bit lighter, brought a little bit of good news in it because we didn't want to be completely doom and gloom here on the 1st of the month. But thank you for tuning in, and this is Ron Placone signing out.